Are you ready?
No, but we'll go ahead anyway.
Do you want rants, rambles, and complete incoherent babbling from the Horrible Goose, that would be Faranae, and the Screaming Cat, which would be me, about the extraordinarily ordinary reality of North America? Yes, you do, even if you don't realize that you do. Octocon's own agents of chaos answer questions from people who should really have known better than to ask, discussing Florida man, fried Twinkies, if they rode cows or moose to school, and whether American football really is just a figment of our collective imagination. This panel is pre-recorded, by the way.
All chaos is intentional.
Maybe not, but we can roll with it. There is plenty of intentional chaos, and there is a whole lot of unintentional chaos that is planned for on account of us being chaotic.
Yeah, they let us loose. They knew what they were getting.
They really should have known better.
What are we starting with? What's our first question? Are we starting with the Florida man thing? Because that's like right there in the description.
That is right there. Where are the questions? Oh, here we are. We have a bunch of them.
Yeah, we have a bunch.
Most
of them
this
are
is
from
me.
Declan.
They really are mostly from Declan.
They really are.
Okay. In no particular order, what is the deal with Florida man? It's a few aspects, to be honest.
Oh, it's great. It's Florida in a perfect little nutshell. Did you live in Florida ever?
I never lived in Florida, but I visited a lot, and I have family in Florida. I have family in Orlando, and I have family on the other side near Pensacola Beach.
Okay, so my parents moved to Florida, and I lived in Miami for a few months when I was 3, and that's how I got my permanent residency in the U.S. Port of Miami will let anyone in, at least in the 80s. And then they bought a house a few years later. So I have been in Florida on and off for 30 years. The whole thing with Florida man is that, okay, every state in the United States has people as crazy as Florida man. They really do. The difference is Florida has the sunshine laws, which are supposed to be police anti-corruption laws. Basically, the police have to file their paperwork for the public within a certain number of days. So like every time they arrest someone, it has to be filed publicly with the county clerk for anyone to know what charges that person is up for, no matter how stupid. The best part is that, like, most of the time when we get Florida man, we get it through the news. So we get like a reasonably literate person rewriting the story. But if you actually go to the county clerk documents, you can see the original paperwork that the cop filled out. And you can see that they are completely illiterate. The form is just like half filled out. Everything is misspelled. The handwriting resembles like a 5-year-old's. It's just complete chaos on the writing, and you're just like, can this charge even be legal? Because they have failed to fill out so many fields in the charge sheet that I don't think this person is actually going to be successfully even sentenced for this, even though it should have been like in the bag. I mean, you catch someone riding a manatee. That's all you need, right? But no, the cop has just like misspelled the name.
Just didn't feel like filling it out correctly.
Put the wrong date. Skip
Oh
the location.
no.
You know, just like everything is wrong on it, or empty. Just like field is empty. So you're like, so that field was required. So we get it in the filtered form where it looks like someone reasonable has written up the charge, but no, the cops wrote the charge. But people are like this in every state in the United United States. It's just Florida has the sunshine laws. I mean, that doesn't just apply to police things. That's just where we get Florida Man from. Every like thing the government does in Florida is documented. So you can also like go through civil court proceedings. You can see everything ever said in the House of Representatives in the state. It's all terrible.
And let me tell you, like every state has doozies of laws that make no sense. Like I know of at least 3 towns where there is actually a law that you are not allowed to mow your lawn on the weekends.
Yeah.
And nobody pays attention to this because guess when most people mow their lawns?
Yeah.
The weekend. But like it's still a law that is still on the books. It's never actually been removed.
Yeah. But like,
and there's like you can't ride your horse backwards down Main Street is an actual law in at least one of the towns that I lived in.
Which also makes you question, why is that a law? Someone rode their horse backwards down Main Street. It's like Florida has to have a law that says you cannot ride alligators.
Because somebody tried to ride probably multiple people tried to ride the alligators. And then they wonder, why am I missing a hand? Probably because I tried to ride an alligator.
I mean, people are riding alligators in Louisiana, for sure, 100% guaranteed. It's just, they don't have a law that says the cops have to tell you that they arrested someone for riding an alligator. Possibly because the cops are the ones riding the alligators.
So that's Florida, man.
It's Florida, man. Once upon a time, Florida was very, I don't want to say libertarian. Like the modern image of Florida is very Republican, very Tea Party, Trumpist Republican. But like when I was a kid, we had a Democrat for governor, and I don't mean a Southern Democrat, you know, old school racist Democrat. We had an actual Democrat for governor. He ran on an environmental ticket.
Yeah, like I mean, I remember Florida and the hanging Chad.
The hanging Chads of 2000. Oh my god. Butterfly ballot. I mean, who even invented butterfly ballots? Like, why would you design that and think it was a good idea in the first place?
You have to dummy proof everything if it's going to go to the general public, and especially for something as important as the President of the United States. You have to dummy proof it as much as possible. Apologies if that was insensitive and insulting. I was not meaning it to be. I was more meaning like you have to think of every possible thing that can go wrong and try to fix it so that it can't.
Well, and like of all places to do something like a butterfly ballot with the Chad's system, Florida, where everybody had arthritis and cataracts. Because like it's a retirement state. Everyone here is at least 50. We're not here because I'm finally in Quebec, but everyone in Florida is like at least over 50. And if they're not, they're working in services for the retired. So like, hey, butterfly ballots. Like, you have arthritis, you can't punch the little hole. You have cataracts and you can't see the lines. Like, it just made no sense.
It's true. Like of all the places where you pick something that's going to go wrong, you pick the place where it is absolutely going to go wrong.
Like the worst case scenario, Florida, for weird designs like butterfly ballots. I mean,
how different are regions? So, I mean, Florida would qualify for that. Like, how different is Florida from Texas, from New York? And the answer is very.
They're all so different. Every state's different.
Like even
is really different.
even like away from the societal parts of it and the societies in each area is very, very different. Um, at one point, uh, the spouse type creature and I were driving cross country, and we did that a few times. But on this particular trip, I fell asleep and I woke up like 10 miles after we'd crossed the state border. And I look around and I'm like, oh, we're in Arizona, and go back to sleep. And he's like, we just left New Mexico. It looks exactly the same. Like, how? But it doesn't look exactly the same.
Really doesn't. Like most of the state borders are actually based on natural difference, which is nice. Canada less so because like the prairie provinces are just one solid flat misery. So they just kind of put straight lines between a few of them because otherwise they'd just be too big. Because they're even as they are, they're too big, but at least they're more manageably too big now. But like even those prairie provinces, which are geographically the same, just flat boredom, are different from each other. Well, everyone forgets Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan is just like a nothing province. No one remembers what Saskatchewan is like. It's
Ironically,
not
it's one of the ones I
Alberta.
remember because the name is Saskatchewan.
And there's a great song about beer piracy on the river in Saskatchewan, which you cannot actually do. That river is extremely shallow, and that's just not going to work. That's the point of the song, in fact. But no, like Alberta is the Texas of Canada, and it's very, very true. It's oil country. They're all right-wing nut jobs. They have no services. Their infrastructure is crumbling, despite the fact that they're incredibly wealthy, and they constantly believe they're the best part of Canada. And they're not. That would be Quebec. I'm a Quebecer. But then you've got like Quebec, which is, you know, it isn't like any state in the US because it's maybe Puerto Rico, which isn't a state.
But should. Well, no. I was gonna say it should be, but like Puerto Rico deserves better.
It does. It deserves better than the Hawaii treatment. But yeah, like even then you talk about like people think of the South and the Deep South. And the fact that we have a phrase, the Deep South, kind of tells you that the South even is not all the same.
I did have somebody try to explain to me. Okay, somebody from Oregon tried to explain to me how Arkansas is not actually the South, and I was like, okay, but you're wrong. And also, please do not lecture me about the place I am from.
Right? Yeah. Wait, I mean, that's the thing. Is each part of the United States has their equivalent to Waffle House, whether people make a thing of it or not. Because, like, in Iowa, it's Village Inn. Same thing, a
Yes.
breakfast place that's open in the middle of the night. In other places, it's Perkins. I don't know. Yeah, Perkins is still around, which is crazy.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of the one that, because it's been like forever and a day. I'm trying to think of the one. It had pies. Pies was their big, big, big thing that they were known for. But they were open all the time, so it's where people went when they needed something that needed
Well, I
to be
mean,
open.
I went to Village Inn for the pies, so possibly Village Inn.
Possibly Village Inn.
Like, if nothing else, I'd go and get pie. In Texas, I think it might be, what is it called, like Whataburger or something like that? Oh, you know what? Tying into our Denny's and our Taco Bell and all that, there is a question
Yes.
about Tim Hortons. There's a question about Timmy's. Where is the question about Timmy's? I know I saw it. Is Tim Horton really that good?
Just had it.
Tim
Yes.
Hortons.
Like the basic answer is yes.
No, no, it's not anymore.
Okay, fair. To be fair, I have not been to the States since 2015.
It is a travesty. Hi, Kitty.
Tension.
Like walked on through. Good job, Kitty. No, no, no. Tim Hortons. It is travesty now. So they got bought out by a Brazilian conglomerate that also owns Burger King. And like they've completely changed everything. The donuts are terrible. They changed who makes their coffee, so coffee isn't even good anymore. It's just like, no. To the
This
point,
is sacrilegious.
it is, because like Tim Hortons, to the point that my uncles, you have to understand, I have 5 uncles. They are die-hard Quebec separatists. If it's made in Quebec, they're for it. Doesn't matter how terrible it is. And if they can't get Quebec products, then they'll get at least Canadian. That like they're 100% Quebec first, Canada second. Everybody else go die in a ditch. They drink McDonald's coffee now. They drink McDonald's coffee. That's how bad Tim Hortons has gotten. Like,
Oh, no.
my uncle showed up to help me move in the other day, and I'm looking, and in their hands, there's McDonald's coffee. There is one good Tim Hortons left in the world that I know of. There is a Tim Hortons.
It's the Canadian version of Whataburger.
No, it is actually part of Tim Hortons. But it's the Tim
But it's
Hortons.
the one last good one.
It is.
We must protect it.
Yes, because there's a Tim Hortons in Belfast, and because they're like so far away from any other Tim Hortons location, they have to cook it all, bake it all in store. They can't be part of the like par-baked distribution system, so they're still using the old recipes.
This is the best thing ever. There is not a single part of that sentence that I do not love. Tim Hortons in Belfast. Which means it's close enough that I could conceivably actually support it. I'll just tell Colin, we gotta go to Belfast. Why? To go to Tim Hortons. I can guarantee you that is going to be his response is.
He doesn't understand. Tim's is an institution. Like,
Okay. I don't know the difference between Starbucks and McDonald's or bad Tim Hortons coffee.
no, I'm like, I love coffee. I don't just need coffee. I do love coffee, but like, I'm like, no, Starbucks isn't particularly good coffee. It's usually overbrewed and burnt. If you get the actual beans and go from there, you can brew it at home and it's much better. But like, I'm the kind of person who will go and find the local roastery and get my beans in a nice paper bag that says that they you know, that it was ready for sale like 2 days ago, and grind my beans for each cup individually. But I will also drink Starbucks and McDonald's coffee and whatever. But even I draw the line at the instant coffee that plagued my life in Ireland.
I grew up on instant coffee.
But like
it's instant coffee is what I make my coffee sludge of doom out of.
Yeah, you know, like all of my relatives up here in Quebec, they're all instant coffee drinkers. Like you go into the pantry and there will be a jar the size of my head of instant coffee. That's what everyone's drinking. I prefer at least marginally better than that. Something actually drinkable.
See,
But
because I grew up with the instant
when I
coffee, I didn't know what to do when I got real coffee. Because like I knew my exact measurements for what I needed to make it taste good. You do 2 spoonfuls of Folgers, you fill it 2 packets of sugar, you fill it up a little over halfway, and you stir it up good, and then you top it off with milk. That was the exact measurement I liked. And then I go to an
yeah,
actual coffee shop to I have no idea how much of anything to add to anything.
I mean that's how you get the
I don't
double
know.
in Canada. The double with Tim Hortons is like 2 sugars, two milks, basically, and you've got a drinkable Tim Hortons coffee. Because Tim Hortons tends to be brewed to be like tar.
It's like army coffee
It's very
because I
army
also
coffee.
grew up on army coffee.
I think a lot of it too is that like Canada is cold. And when you're cold enough, you kind of need something that kicks you in the teeth to keep you awake because otherwise you'll die of hypothermia. Um,
So you need something hot, you need something sugar. It totally makes sense.
you need, and like that is one thing compared to the US and Canada. In the US, if you put milk in your coffee, you are like effeminate. Like there's a whole thing in the US. If you put milk in your coffee, there's like a
I
masculinity.
like my coffee black. Like
Yeah, it's
yeah,
a
it's the
macho thing.
whole
You
thing.
have to have black coffee.
I don't like those frou-frou drinks. I drink my
Yeah,
coffee black the way God intended, as though the coffee comes made already.
if you want coffee the way God
Like
intended, get like one of those
you're gonna
mocha.
be eating a plant. Like
Yeah,
it's already not the way God intended.
I mean we've already roasted it to make it palatable and all kinds of other things. Saying um, no, in Canada though, like the double is the standard. Everybody drinks double. So like it's normal that you would put cream in your coffee. And let me note it is cream, not milk. I do not know how many times I never got over this 30 years in the US and I never got over it. I'd be like, can I have cream for my coffee? And they'd be like,
And they give you milk.
2% milk. They wouldn't even give me whole fat milk. They'd give me 2%. I'm just like, why don't you just give me water? Just give me water. It's the same difference. I'll just have an Americano. I mean, what am I supposed to do with this? I asked for cream. And like in Canada, in Quebec especially, if you go to a restaurant, like a diner type restaurant where the cream is already on the table for you, um, it'll be like 15% cream, half and half, and 35% cream. They just put straight up heavy whipping cream on the table for you to put in your coffee.
I love it.
So when I'm on a diet, I take 15%, you know, being reasonable.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm just gonna play hopscotch with the questions.
Yeah. If we manage to tie any of them to each other, that'll be great. But if we don't, it's just gonna be like
Why does the US love guns so much? Are they really that easy to get?
oh my god, yeah.
Um,
Didn't I
I
tell you
honestly couldn't
about
tell you
that?
why they love the gun so much, other than yes, they really do, and yes, they really are that easy to get.
Oh, I think I told you about this. That even I have
Yes,
participated in gun trafficking in the United States. It's technically all legal because, again, it was in Florida. No laws.
a lot of things are legal in Florida that really shouldn't be.
This is like way up there in the list of things that should not be legal in Florida. So, okay, that absolutely are legal in this in that crazy state. So I'm gonna wait for the plane to go by. This house is only supposed to have one plane fly over it a day, and there have been 4 planes since we started this video.
Well, they lied.
I don't know, did something happen? Everything's getting rerouted? I don't know. Anyway, okay, so Florida, gun laws, extremely lax. This starts way back in, my parents are working illegally in Miami in the mid 80s. The guy who's working with them, his name was Buddy. Of course, his name was Buddy. Agrees to sponsor them for a permanent residency. Buddy is a gun nut. He had like 20 guns inside his travel trailer. I don't know how many guns he had. He had a lot of guns. Anyways, it's the 1980s in Miami. Buddy decides that this nice little family should not be staying in a campground in the bad part of Miami without protection. So he goes and buys them a shotgun. A nice shotgun, but a shotgun. And he got them ammo too, and then he taught my mom how to fire it without breaking her shoulder, which was
Important information.
She's tiny. Yep. And then what he had my parents do is lean the shotgun unloaded outside the travel trailer door for a couple days, just so everybody knew that they had a shotgun. They then like zipped it up in its very nice case and put it, God knows where, in the travel trailer with 2 small children, and the ammo somewhere. And when they finally bought a house, and the thing about this is they traveled back and forth to Canada during this time before they got the house, so that gun crossed the border illegally a couple times.
Whoops.
Way past the specifications, it's fine. So they buy a house in Florida. They still have the gun. The gun got put under the bed because, like, if you're worried about home invasion, well, you need to be able to get to the gun quickly. The ammo, though, I don't know where they stored it. It was not loaded. The ammo was put somewhere, and the gun was never touched again. Fast forward 30 years, they're selling the house in Florida. What to do with the gun? They don't want to smuggle it across the border. They don't really want it anymore. So my dad asks our neighbor, who's from Puerto Rico, whether he'd like a gun. And the neighbor's just like, I don't know, what is it? And my dad's like, well, it's a shotgun. And he comes and looks at it. I think it was like a Remington or something. He comes and looks at it. He's like, that's a nice shotgun. I'll take it. So we just gave the gun and all the ammo to the neighbor. Totally legal. There's no registration on this thing. Never has been. And that's not illegal.
No bill of sale because he didn't sell it.
It's not even a straw sale. But like, if it had been a sale, if we had like sold it to him for $100, totally legal in Florida. You do not need to be an authorized gun dealer. There's like a flea market just for guns. 10 minutes away from the house I lived in Florida. Like, you can just go, and every week, flea market of guns. No background.
I grew up with guns. And at one point, my dad hid the guns, and my mom didn't like this, so she found them and hid them again. Only my mom has no memory whatsoever, so she has no idea where she hid them. My dad has no idea where she hid them. So Colin's family comes over to meet my family for the first time, and my dad's showing the guns, and he's like, but I don't know where the other one is. It's somewhere in the house. And the look that Colin's family gave us was like, is this real? I don't know. And I'm like, It's unfortunately real. I would assume that at this point the gun has in fact been found since they've
Oh,
moved. But like I couldn't actually guarantee that. I just assume so. I did wind up when I was trying to go to my very first convention. We were super excited about it. I'm in full cosplay. My friend, I mean, it's closet cosplay, so I'm Amy Pond. My friend is Gingerbent11, and we're going to the cosplay. We walk into the hotel, but it's a particular area of the hotel. We walk in. That's the gun convention, and I'm just like, I don't know how to politely leave. It is very clear that we don't belong here, but I don't want to upset anybody by just leaving. And my roommate just looks around and goes, "Well, it appears as though we're in the wrong spot. Come along, Amy," and just walks off. And I'm like, yes.
okay, I'm looking at the
So,
list.
the
I'm
answer
back.
about guns is yes, the USA really is that gun crazy. Also knife crazy.
It's crazy. Weapon crazy. Any weapon. It
Weapon
doesn't.
crazy.
It's not like that in Canada. Canada's reasonable. It's fine.
Is it true your teeth explode if you open your mouth in Canada because it is so cold?
Okay, first of all, I am in Canada right this moment. My mouth is open and my window is open. Teeth are okay. Teeth are okay. But also, no, teeth do not explode in the cold. Like, it does get really, really cold in some parts of Canada. It gets to -40 in some areas before wind chill. Uh, I don't need to specify Fahrenheit or Celsius because, first of all, that's where Fahrenheit and Celsius meet, is -40. And also, when it's -40, it really doesn't matter which system you're using. It's
You
cold.
know it's darn cold.
It's like, I'm gonna die cold. People live in those places. Like, that's where that's Winnipeg winter is -40. Um, Teeth do not explode. I don't even know how that would work. Like, what is the mechanism behind teeth? I don't.
I don't know. I did have a nose ring when I was in Montana winter. Montana winter was the coldest I'd ever dealt with. It was -8 on a warm day. That
Yeah,
that would be -8 Fahrenheit.
yeah. So all right.
So on a warm day, it's that. Normally it was getting to be around -20 Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
And I had never ever had winters that cold before. And I'm in Montana and I have a nose ring and I'm like walking across and I'm just like I cannot deal with having something metal in my face when it is this cold.
Yeah.
So the nose ring lasted all of 2 months because I went from California to Montana.
You can't. Yeah, you don't really wear those things in winter. Um, like, I used to have pierced ears, and I wouldn't even wear my earrings during the winter. Like, I'd wear them indoors to keep the piercing good, but you don't really wear it outside because it gets too cold. Um, like, your tongue can stick to a metal pole if you're stupid enough to like lick a metal pole, but that's easy to deal with. You just pour warm water, and it'll break the seal without ripping off the the skin of your tongue. Like, don't pull. Just warm water. You'll be fine. Um, and I mean, there's like those cool videos where when it's cold enough, you can like throw water and it will like instantly freeze in the air. There's like really
So
cool
cool. And
stuff.
apparently boiling water freezes faster.
Yeah, like you can do really cool stuff. It's also really dangerous, and quite a few people have done it at the wrong temperature and ended up injuring themselves. Because like it's
Don't do
vinegar.
it.
Don't do it. Don't do this at home. Like you have to know the right temperature. Like, it's just specific temperatures. Like my grandfather was what we call a sugar master for maple syrup. So his job was boiling down the sap to get delicious maple syrup. No, we do not drink. I mean, you can drink the sap straight from the tree. I don't recommend it. I really don't.
It's kind of like chewing on coffee means hoping you're gonna get coffee. Like
Yeah,
you can do it, that doesn't mean it's good.
you can kind of you get the semblance of the coffee taste there, but it's not the same at all. Same thing, sap. You're gonna taste a lot of tree. Star. You might also get some bugs in there and stuff. So so he knew how to boil the sap to get syrup. And one of the things that you learn when you're a sugar master is how to make snow taffy. So you take the snow, you can just go straight out to fresh snowfall outside, and you pour the syrup onto the snow, and it will turn into taffy that you can eat. It's delicious. But the snow has to be the outdoor temperature has to be right, the snow has to be right. It has to be kind of like a fresh snow. And the syrup has to be heated to a specific temperature. And if any of those are wrong, what you get is rock candy. Teeth breaking rock candy. So
I used to want to make snow ice cream. Like that was a big thing that I wanted to do. The problem was I was in Arkansas.
it doesn't work.
No, like particularly the area of Arkansas that I was in, because Northwest Arkansas up in the Ozark Mountains, you get snow. I was not in the Ozark Mountains, so I really desperately wanted to try snow ice cream because I'd read about it, and I wanted to try snow ice cream, and then it actually snows. It gets all of like 1 inch of snow, and I'm like scraping it off the car to do it. And Grandma's like, "No, you cannot." And I'm like, "But it's enough snow." And she's like, "You cannot eat snow off the car."
But no one's teeth explodes.
No one's teeth explodes is really the important part.
I kind of want to know where someone got that idea. That is wild. Do you live in igloos? No?
Do you live in igloos?
Do I live in an igloo? I mean, does it look like an igloo in here? There's a door. You don't have doors on igloos. You have holes.
I do like this is my dream vacation is going to the glass igloos in Finland during the Northern Lights.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. That's fun. But that is not
It's also warm.
Yeah, you don't live, and like a real igloo is actually pretty warm inside. Um, uh,
That's the whole point of it, is insulation.
yeah, it's actually really neat from a physics standpoint how an igloo works. However, considering that like at least 6 months of the year we do not have snow, it would be kind of hard to live in igloos all the time. So no, don't live in an igloo. Also, I'm white. Like this.
Also, you're not Inuit.
Yeah, look, and the Inuit do not live in igloos because they were forcibly made to live in housing built by the Canadian government. Less fun. Less fun. There is a really cool Canadian government funded documentary about how to build an igloo, featuring Inuit people building an igloo that you can find on the Canadian Film Board website.
I think I've seen that.
Yeah, there's like all kinds of cool videos like that. Also, I recommend Helicopter Canada because it is hilarious. Helicopter Canada is a documentary that was paid for in full by the Canadian government for the centennial, 100-year anniversary of Canadian Confederation. And they paid some guy to fly across Canada in a helicopter and like do a documentary of Canada. The thing is that like if you're watching it, there's a lot of sarcasm and in jokes and stuff where you're like, This was supposed to be a celebration. Why is he showing you the open pit mines? Or the graveyard of cars for the time Canada tried to make their own car? Like Canada tried to do like the Volkswagen thing, like have a Canadian car, Canada-made car. It was a terrible car. It didn't work. No one wanted it. So like there were just at one point just graveyards of thousands of these cars. And this Helicopter Canada documentary flies over them and talks about them. And it's like the great Canadian car. And you're just like, they hate him for this.
So one of the questions
Ah,
was, well, first was, how big are moose? Big is the answer. Big.
Moose are like, think of a big animal, but smaller than an elephant, and then make it bigger because you've underestimated it. Like, they're just huge. And they can't see very well. And much like most other herbivores that are huge and can't see very well, sometimes they see you and they decide that you look kind of funny, and things that look kind of funny need to be broken. So they'll just charge you. They can run a lot faster than any human, even Usain Bolt. Like, you're done for. The other problem with moose is that their body starts above the hood of a car. So like when a car hits a moose, the problem you have is that you've hit the legs, probably below the knees. So the whole moose just hits your windshield and then rolls onto your roof and just crushes the whole car because of how much it weighs. Because a moose weighs, what does a moose weigh?
A moose weighs a crap ton.
A moose
Is the
weighs,
one scientific answer.
An adult male moose can weigh 700 kilograms up to. That's like a really big one. But yeah, like they weigh hundreds of pounds or kilograms. Doesn't matter which system you use. They weigh a lot. Like, they weigh a lot.
So then one of the other questions we got with moose is, did you ride a moose to school?
You could ride a moose in theory. I have never seen it done. I really have not. I mean, Quebec is just as bad as Florida for like having, Florida man moments where I'm sure someone in Quebec has tried to ride a moose. I'm also sure it's completely illegal. But no.
Much like riding a manatee.
Yeah. Don't ride manatees. They're very sensitive creatures. You're being mean. Moose are not
ride manatees. Even if part of it's illegal, don't ride manatees.
You know what? If you can manage,
you don't ride moose for a different reason.
Yeah, like you don't ride moose because they're not going to let you ride them. If you can manage to get on top of a moose and get it to take you where you want to go, mad props to you. You know what? I'm impressed. I don't think you deserve to be arrested because that took some doing. Yeah, no riding polar bears, no riding moose.
I did get asked when I was in Wisconsin if I rode cows to school since I'm from Arkansas, and I was like, okay, well, first off, we're in Wisconsin. You're like the dairy capital of the country. I'm pretty sure you have more cows than we do.
Yeah.
But also, I did ride cows. Not to school, but I did ride cows.
You ride a cow. It's the whole thing. It's not really a thing in the States.
When you spend a lot of times on farms, you basically ride anything that will let you ride them.
Yeah.
And the cows mostly just don't care. Like, as long as you're not actually hurting the cow, they don't care.
Yeah,
They're not really going to obey you. They're not going to go anywhere they don't want to go, but, like, you can be on its back, sure.
yeah.
It's true. And one of the questions we did get about moose
Oh, more
is
moose.
why is moose, but geese are geese?
I actually don't know the answer to this question. I should know the answer to the question. I don't. And I'm sort of like, we do make the joke that moose are meese.
I'm pretty sure you do actually know the answer, and you have just forgotten that you know the answer. Because the answer
Oh,
is
probably.
different languages and etymology.
Oh, yes. Yes. They are from
Moose
different languages.
is, I'm pretty sure it's Algonquin, but I could
Oh,
be
yeah, that
wrong.
sounds right.
I'm pretty sure
Sure.
Algonquin. I should have looked it up. While goose, I want to say is Germanic.
Ah,
So
yeah.
that's why moose is moose and geese are geese. In a nutshell,
That
different
never stopped.
languages.
You know what? That's never stopped anyone because you have octopus and like 4 different plurals for octopus.
Octopus, octopuses, octopodi, octopi.
Yeah,
And the case can be made for all of them on which it should be. I
yeah.
personally say octopi because octopi is fun.
I
Octopodi is my second favorite because it is also fun.
I think I used octopuses in the Octofact cards simply because it is the one with the least grammar nerds yelling at you for using it. So it's sort of like, I don't need anyone telling me that the Octofact cards are grammatically incorrect.
One of the octofact cards needs to be, what is the proper plural form of octopus? And the answer just be whatever you want it to be. I mean, not literally, but essentially. These are the options. Any of them are correct.
Any of them are correct.
What is a Twinkie? And why? I really couldn't tell you the why of Twinkies because I actually hate Twinkies.
I should know the
But I
why,
can tell you
actually.
that Twinkies are a snack cake filled with horrible version of cream.
Yeah.
And then they the fried Twinkies are when you take this snack cake and you fry it. I have not had it. I could not tell you if it is good or not. I can tell you Americans like to fry anything.
Okay, so the why of Twinkies is that they're a snack from 1930.
Oh, this explains so much.
Yeah, and they were not like an intentional snack. They were like, okay, first of all, I have to take the blame because the inventor of Twinkies was actually Canadian, living in the United States. So this is what happens when Canada and the United States get together. Crimes happen. We should always be kept separate.
You chose violence.
Choose violence. Yeah.
But no, it totally makes sense when you say 1930s, and I'm like, oh, Depression
Yeah.
era snack.
So
Yes,
like,
this absolutely makes sense. I can
and
totally
they were
see
like,
Depression era kids going crazy over this because it's cheap to make. It's using leftovers that you can't use in any other way.
right, and the thing
Yeah.
was is like, it was a company that made strawberry shortcake, and the baker at the company realized that strawberry shortcake is seasonal at the time. Nowadays it's not, but at the time strawberry shortcake was seasonal. You only got strawberries like a few months of the year. But what do we do with the rest of the year with this equipment? I'll make other snacks, and thus you get Twinkie. And like they've changed over time. Like the originals were actual shortcake and resembled some food.
I'd say probably also actual cream and not the
An actual,
monstrosity that they currently come with.
yeah, an actual cream and stuff. And for a very long time they kept that formula. They were not the scariest food I have ever helped make. So I worked as a millwright for industrial baking equipment, industrial scale baking equipment, food company, all bakeries, not like clay or anything like ceramics, food. And I have actually built ovens for Hostess. So I have built Twinkie ovens. Not the scariest baked good I have ever facilitated the existence of. Scariest would actually be Wonder Bread. That's the one you should be asking, what is Wonder Bread and why is it? Because what Wonder Bread looks like, which, and it's the plain white bread, the nothing bread, right? It's not dough before it's baked. It's a gray liquid. Like, it's not even the color of bread, it's like grayish. And it's just like a liquid injected into the molds, and then the molds go into the oven and it bakes, and it turns into something that is apparently bread, but in no way actually is bread. That's the scariest.
I wonder if it's actually listed as bread, because I know that there are some things where it's like they have bread in the name, but they're not actually listed as bread. They're listed as cake.
In the US, it's listed as bread. I don't know about elsewhere.
The first part is actually not the scariest I've had to deal with, because like I missed the worst of it, but I did have to deal with the if you can turn it into Jello, it's Jello.
Oh no. Oh no. No.
I don't like Jello to begin with. So when you're giving me like pasta in Jello, this makes me hate Jello even more. Spaghetti Jello, 10/10, do not recommend.
Yeah. No. Oh,
and
God,
people
no.
wonder why I don't like Jello salad. Like, could it be that you gave me Jello monstrosities? Like, just an idea.
Yeah, there was crimes. It's just like American state fairs need to deep fry everything, including Twinkies and butter.
Yes, and while I don't like fried Twinkies, there are plenty of fried foods that I like. Butter, I have not done fried butter. I know that it exists.
That's the Iowa State Fair. You can blame the Iowa State Fair for that one.
See, much like Depression, Twinkies came from Depression era. You tell me fried butter comes from Iowa, and I'm like, oh yes, that checks out. I did grow up with fried pickles, which is delicious if you like pickles. You probably have to like pickles to enjoy fried pickles. So, like, if you don't like pickles, don't take my say so, and you'll be like, "Oh, Kat said I'm going to love this," because you probably won't.
They're still very much pickles. Like, the frying does not remove the pickleness. Like, there's some things where, like, when they're fried, they're not really the thing they were before. Like, I think a lot of people who wouldn't eat a jalapeno love fried jalapenos.
But part of it, because I'm one of those, what
Yeah.
I like about fried jalapenos is that they're stuffed with cheese and then they're fried.
Yeah, so like,
and I love this
because
it takes the spicy part out, which is the seeds. It puts cheese in it, which is delicious, and then you fry it, which is even more delicious. The problem is I am now allergic to all peppers ever. So fried jalapenos are a thing that I miss a lot.
Also, dairy is one of the things that can help cut heat. So not only have you taken out some of the heat of the jalapeno, you've inserted something that helps remove heat from it. As does bread. Bread, milk, or dairy in general.
Yes. If you eat something very spicy, do not drink water. It will actually make the burning sensation worse. Definitely try to drink milk if you can, if it is available. If milk won't make you sick, do milk, because it actually coats your mouth so that the heat is not actually touching your skin, essentially.
We're educational. Oh, but if you are
educational.
If you are lactose intolerant, or you're at a place where they will not give you a glass of milk, you can get a glass of water and just start dumping sugar into it.
Yes.
That's actually how the Scoville test is done. It's how many sprays of sugar water into someone's mouth before they finally stop burning.
Are feral hogs real, basically? And the
Yes.
answer is yes. They are real. They are an invasive species pretty much everywhere. Um, and they are considered invasive to the point where if they are found, they are supposed to just be put down.
You eat them.
Most people aren't going to go along with that.
You can eat them.
Is there a likelihood of 30 to 50 feral hogs storming any area ever? No. That's not how feral hogs are. Like, yes, sometimes they'll be in packs, but not 30 to 50 of them. They don't really storm. Like,
Yeah.
this is not feral hog behavior. Basically, feral hogs root around and eat what they can dig up that way, and then they are territorial, but mostly like they're going to be dangerous to themselves more than anything else. You will get some, and turkeys do this too, where if the pack is come along by a human, you will get the herd takes off while one of them stays to basically hold the line long enough for the rest of them to get away. And their job is to be the guy with the machine gun against the polar bears, essentially. And like I said, turkeys do this too. It is not just feral hogs. The issue is that feral hogs will do more damage to you than a turkey is likely to.
So much more damage. Like, feral hogs can be unpredictable and they can be really, really vicious. And they can gore you, they can bite you. And the amount of disease in their mouth, if they do so, is probably what's going to kill you. More like a Komodo dragon.
And I'm from Arkansas, where our football team, our college football team, is way more popular than any NFL team anywhere nearby. So we have the Arkansas Razorbacks, woo pig suey. There's a whole thing. Every time they play a game, you have to call the Hogs. There's a particular cheer to do it. Like, it is a whole thing.
In Florida,
and it's the Razorbacks.
In Florida, the rule is if a redneck sees a feral hog, they get to shoot it and eat it. That's pretty much what happens. There was a feral hog at the campground for a while. Real friendly one. Like, didn't bother anyone, but kept rooting around, and like, it took up residence under our motorhome. So like, we had this big wallow. It was a problem. And one day it disappeared, and we really don't know what happened to it. We just assumed someone in the backwoods ate it.
Probably, yeah. Churches. Why? What is the deal with churches? Why are there churches on like every corner? And the answer to that is basically Christianity. Essentially, and turning churches into businesses. Also, I will also say that like where I'm from, when I say we, I mean proverbial we, not specifically the two of us we. Where I'm from, it's very common to have the First Baptist Church, the Second Baptist Church, the Seventh Baptist Church. And the one that cracked me up was the Third Church. Sorry, no. Sorry, the First Church. I got that backwards. And the story behind that one was that the first church got too big. So they set up the second First Church, which was still connected to the first church. It's just a different building. And the third First Church happened because the second First Church caught fire, and they rebuilt it as the third First Church.
Oh, God. The United States was founded in part by a bunch of religious extremists in the middle of a religious schism. So like, the US is just prone to religious schisms across the board. So like, every town has like churches that broke off from each other. Because I remember like, the town I grew up in, there was a Baptist church, and someone got mad at the pastor there and decided to form his own church. Because it's really easy to just be ordained in the United States. Also, churches don't pay taxes. So a lot of churches are just like tax shelters. They're not even real churches. They have like 3 members. Westboro Baptist. A church that consists entirely of its own family members. That's like the
Yeah,
classic tax front church.
maybe you're not actually a church. Just saying.
Maybe not. Right. We need an ending for this.
If you were entertained by this, please request a follow-up next year because we didn't answer half the questions you sent in. We have so many more we could answer.
There's so many more. Yeah, I think that'll do. You'll see more of us this weekend. Possibly
Feel
less
free to
chaotic.
ask us questions on Discord. We can't guarantee to answer them, but we will do our best.
I can't escape you because I'm running the Discord. So, ask me questions.